The real difference between a smoker and a non-smoker is not how long they've gone without smoking, but whether they have a need or a desire to smoke. I was born into a working class family in Putney, London. I experimented when I was 11 and was violently sick. I dabbled again as an article clerk, but it was really national service that sealed my fate. In those days, a man was regarded as a sissy if he didn't smoke. We had regular breaks, not to rest, but for a smoke. The miracle was how any youngster managed to avoid the trap. The nicotine trap is the most subtle, ingenious confidence trick that Mother Nature and mankind have combined to create. Like all confidence tricks, once you've seen through it, you won't fall for it again. The nicotine trap is very simple in itself, but it's confused and distorted by a series of illusions and misconceptions. Smokers arrive at our clinics in various states of panic, believing we're going to relate horror stories about the damage smoking is doing to their lungs, that in order to quit, they have to endure an indefinite period of misery and depression, and that even if they do succeed, social occasions will never be quite as enjoyable, and that they will be less able to concentrate, answer the phone, or cope with stress without a cigarette. It takes us about 5 hours to remove these illusions and misconceptions so that they leave the clinics already happy non-smokers. How can you break the addiction by giving addicts the drug they're addicted to? It's like telling a heroin addict who's smoking the drug off foil to start injecting it instead. Even the term nicotine replacement therapy is highly misleading. Nicotine is not being replaced, and there's certainly no therapy. It should be called nicotine continuation treatment. The drug companies are selling nicotine to addicts, just like the tobacco companies. They're not scientific. They judge success purely by the length of time that has elapsed since a smoker has survived without smoking. The accepted standard is 12 months. That's a purely random period without any scientific basis. Some ex-smokers who haven't smoked for over a year actually attend our clinics because they're still moping for a cigarette. I once stopped for 6 months on willpower, but I didn't feel like a non-smoker because the craving wouldn't go. The moment I extinguished my final cigarette on 15th July 1983, I was already a happy non-smoker and had no cravings. Easyway is so successful because it removes the feeling of deprivation. In addition to that, the verification methods used in these so-called scientific studies are highly unscientific. Many rely on the smoker's word that they've quit, but smokers lie about that. Others rely on carbon monoxide levels on the smoker's breath, but they show a non-smoker's reading after just a few hours of not smoking. Whatever the nationality, race, culture, religion, class, colour or background, the psychology of the smoker is the same. Added to that, deep down all smokers want to stop. People believe that heavy smokers like me are people who really enjoy it. I hated it. I despised myself because I hadn't got the willpower to quit. But every time I tried to quit, I was just miserable, and I thought, well, the shorter, sweeter life of the smoker than the long, boring life or miserable life of the non-smoker. But then something happened, and it was basically, I was reading one of these home help medical books, and there was something on nicotine addiction. And it said something like that when nicotine leaves your body, it creates this empty, insecure feeling. And the moment you light another cigarette and the nicotine is replaced, that feeling goes and it gives a feeling of relaxation. Now, I'd already worked out that all the other reasons smokers give, like, well, I enjoy the taste.
Yeah.
We don't eat cigarettes. Where does taste come in? This is just like wearing tight shoes to get the pleasure of taking them off. And I then realised that it wasn't a weakness in me, it was just a confidence trait. And I put the last cigarette out. I knew I would never smoke again. I never had any withdrawal pangs at all, physical or mental. And I've never had the slightest urge to smoke since. all these other reasons that all smokers are in the same trap. None of us need to smoke before we start. We work so hard to get hooked, and most smokers can remember how foul those first cigarettes taste. If we just set light to the money, and the average 20-a-day smoker spends £50,000 in their lifetime on cigarettes, but we actually use it to risk horrendous diseases, all right, many people get away with it, but even then you make yourself lethargic, you're coughing, spluttering. The sheer slavery of smoking never seems to dawn on us. When we're allowed to smoke, we either take it for granted, or if we do think about it, it's, I'm a fool, I should stop doing it. And then the other half of our lives, we're in situations, either in a restaurant, a church, on a train, somewhere, where we're not allowed to smoke, thinking, oh, I can't wait to get out here and have a fag. Now, what sort of hobby is it that you didn't need it before you started? You spend half your life wishing you didn't do it, and it's only when you can't do it that suddenly cigarettes become so precious. They know the reasons they shouldn't smoke. What we seem to overlook is we don't smoke for the reasons we shouldn't. We smoke for the reasons we do. In fact, there are no, it is hard to believe, but there are no benefits or crutches from smoking whatsoever.
Nobody forces us to smoke. We think we're doing it because we enjoy it and we are in control. But if you ask a smoker when they decided to become a smoker, they'll start to tell you their first experiences. And you say, well, no, I don't mean that. When did you decide you'd buy your own, you'd start smoking 20 a day, then 40, and that you'd smoke the rest of your life? Nobody ever does. We're sort of lured into this trap. And if you'd say to any smoker in Western society, do you like the thought of your children smoking or your grandchildren? No way. Which means we wish we never smoked ourselves. We wish we'd never fallen into the trap. You see, on other systems, they stop hoping that one day, if they've got enough willpower and can go through the misery, they wake up, eureka, I've kicked it. We do it the other way around. We get rid of the brainwashing first, so that they realise that they're not giving up anything. They're achieving marvellous positive gains. So when they extinguish that last cigarette, it's a joy, it's a pleasure. All the brainwashing is over. They already get that feeling.
I was a chain smoker for most of my adult life. When I extinguished my final cigarette, I was already a non-smoker. I suffered no withdrawal pangs, was immediately able to enjoy social occasions more, and better able to concentrate and cope with stress. I didn't gain weight, and most important of all, I've never had the slightest desire to smoke since. I then decided to cure the world of smoking. My method is known as Easyway, and it will enable any smoker to quit immediately, permanently, and actually enjoy the process. Before you dismiss my claims, bear in mind that I've been proving them for over 20 years. That's why my book and global network of clinics are so successful. The method is so successful because I understand the psychology of smokers. As an ex-smoker, I know the mental barriers and fears which make it difficult to stop, and am able to remove them. You're about to discover that stopping smoking is in fact easy and enjoyable. And it's even easier if you start off relaxed with an open mind. Leave your prejudices behind and start to question what you think you already know about smoking. You're about to embark on a fascinating voyage of discovery. Enjoy yourself.